let's look at what we see. Let's start here at 0 degrees. So the tangent of 0 degrees, alright, so at 0 degrees, your sine is 0 and your cosine is 1. So it's 0 over 1, which is 0. Alright, let's go up to the tangent of pi over 2. Tangent of pi over 2, that's 90 degrees. Sine, cosine. Sine is 1, cosine is 0. So at that point, tangent is undefined. Remember, we cannot divide by 0. Division by 0 is undefined. Alright, what about over here, the tangent of pi? Tangent of pi, it's sine over cosine. So our sine is 0, and our cosine is -1, so tangent is 0. And then down here, our tangent of 3 pi over 2, sine over cosine, -1 over 0, that's undefined. So at the pi over 2 and at 3 pi over 2, the tangent is undefined. At 0 and pi, tangent is equal to 0. Alright, now let's look at what happens at the pi over 4 marks. Tangent of pi over 4 is sine, square root of 2 over 2, over cosine, square root of 2 over 2. So that's equal to 1, because anytime you divide something by itself, it equals 1. So then 3 pi over 4 is going to go back to this reference angle, but in the second quadrant, so tangent. So remember, our sine is positive, but our cosine is negative, so the tangent is negative. Alright, down here at 5 pi over 4, where sine over cosine, they're both negatives, so the tangent is positive. And then over in the fourth quadrant, the tangent of 7 pi over 4, 7 pi over 4, and here our cosine is positive, but our sine is negative, so that's going to be -1. Right? So on your pi over 4 reference angles, tangent is 1 or -1. Alright, so now let's look over here at what's happening on our pi over 6. So tangent for pi over 6, we look at our other circle, remember it's sine over cosine. So that's going to be 1/2 over the square root of 3 over 2. So we've got a complex fraction. So that's going to be 1/2 times. So remember, when you divide, you multiply by the reciprocal. So I'm going to take the reciprocal of that denominator. That's 2 over the square root of 3. 2 divided by 2 is 1, so that's 1 over the square root of 3. And then I'm going to rationalize the denominator, square root of 3 over square root of 3. So it's going to be the square root of 3 over 3. That's my tangent when I'm on pi over 6. So now let's look at pi over 3. So the tangent for pi over 3 is going to be sine over cosine. So this time my sine is square root of 3 over 2, and my cosine is 1/2. So that's going to be the square root of 3 over 2 times the reciprocal of 1/2. So the reciprocal of 1/2 is 2 over 1. My 2's divide out, and so that's just the square root of 3. So every time you have cotangent, it's going to be the reciprocal of these. Remember that every time you have secant, secant is the reciprocal of cosine. And every time you have cosecant, that's the reciprocal of sine. So, for example, if I wanted the cosecant of pi over 6, so what I think in my head is, what is sine of pi over 6? Well, at pi over 6, sine is 1/2. So then cosecant would be 2 over 1. What's the secant of pi over 6? Well, if the cosine is square root of 3 over 2, then the secant is going to be 2 over the square root of 3, and then we'd have to rationalize the denominator. So remember your reciprocals. Alright, so maybe that information will help you a little bit. We're going to do one more round of Look It.